Here we go now for race number 2 of the Twin 125s, and this is going to determine the outside row for the Daytona 500. Just like last time, the pole sitter was guaranteed his pole position in the form of Rusty Wallace. Tim Richmond is guaranteed his outside pole position, so these races will determine positions 4th through 42nd. So the winner of this race will start 4th, 2nd place will start 6th, 3rd place will start 8th, so on and so forth. Like Chirac, but this is typically a clean track, clean race. We usually don't have that many problems here at Daytona. Talladega, that track has a few wrecks, but here at Daytona, it's typically a clean track. 21 drivers, of course, lining up for this, for the 42 entries into the Daytona 500. The cars are coming down, and they're going to take the green flag here, and Tim Richmond got a wallop of a jump. Now, one of the things about the Twin 125s here is that it does break up the big teams sometimes. And boy, does it ever here for Tim Richmond. He does not have any friends in this race. Yeah, you saw a really Chevrolet-dominated race number 1. Here, race number 2, you're going to see there's actually not a lot of Chevrolets in this field. Oh, you see Alan Kowicki, Ford, Bill Elliott, Ford, Harry Gant, Oldsmobile. You've got Davey Ellison in the Ford, Neil Bonnet, Ford, Brett Bodine, Ford, Kyle Petty, Pontiac, Terry Labonte, Oldsmobile, Ricky Rudd, Buick, Phil Parsons, Oldsmobile, Larry Pearson in the Oldsmobile, Dick Trickle in a Buick, 29, that's Dale Jarrett in a Pontiac, Hutch Strickland, 57 in a Pontiac. I think the only other Chevrolet is the 66 of Rick Mast, honestly. Nope, you've also got the number 71 of Dave Marcus, also a Chevrolet. But here's rookie Rick Mast. So we only have 3 Chevrolets in this entire field, at least for the outside starting position. Now here's Bill Elliott. He's on the bottom, and we all know how strong Bill Elliott's Super Speedway program has been through the 80s. He has been the one to beat. Even since the advent of the restrictor plate, he's been a difficult person to beat on the super speedways. I think it's going to continue to be that way for a little bit, folks. As long as Elliott is in that number 9 car, he's driving for Melling, he's got his dad as crew chief, everything's going to be fine for Elliott. The 1984 Throwbacks champion. The last driver to ever win 4 races in a row in 1984. The person who has the most wins in a single season, tied with Dale Earnhardt. 8. Of course, that's just in Throwbacks history since 1984. There have been drivers that have gotten more than that, including up to 13 wins in a single season in the modern era. Here's Phil Parsons. He's going to go down low, and now we've got a couple of second-generation drivers bump drafting each other, pretty much. There might not be quite to the bumpers there, but a couple of Oldsmobiles pushing each other here at the front. Larry Pearson drops down low, trying to pass Phil Parsons. And we have the oldie but a good rookie Dick Trickle in the 84. Proving that you can never be too old to enter into the Cup Series for your first full-time season. 46 years old. A dirt track legend. Depends on who you ask or where you ask, but Dick Trickle has won anywhere between 800 in 1,200 races on a dirt track. He just dominated on the dirt tracks back up in the Midwest. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd, he just led that lap. And Harry Gant, somebody who's had a bunch of abysmal seasons in a row, he's looking for redemption this season. They switched from Chevrolet to Oldsmobile, and they're hoping that that's going to be the Kickstarter that they need to get back into the top 10 in points. Maybe it's possible. Meanwhile, here comes Sterling Marlin. Marlin to the bottom. Sterling Marlin has one career win thus far, coming in 1986 at Talladega, the first ever restrictor plate race, the fall Talladega race. And now here comes rookie Rick Mast being pushed by rookie Hutch Strickland. And you might hear rookie a lot, actually. There are 7 drivers going for Rookie of the Year this season, which is a lot. Of course, we have a lot of legends retiring. Bobby Allison retired, Cale Yarborough retired, Buddy Baker. All 3 of them went out at the same time. Cale Yarborough, he chose his replacement to be Dale Jarrett. We'll see how Jarrett does in the 29 throughout this season. Meanwhile, Larry Pearson, someone who was supposed to be a temporary replacement for Rick Mast in the 4 car, not Rick Mast, Rick Wilson in the 4 car, after he suffered a, let's just say, career-ending injury at Dover. Had a very big crash. Larry Pearson, though, now in the 4 car after having a phenomenal end to the 86 season. He came on for 1987. Had a, I would say, so-so year. Not a bad rookie season. Easily Rookie of the Year. Got top 25 in points. And now maybe they might be aiming for top 15 this season. Meanwhile, probably one of the bigger changes this year, Neil Bonnet is in the 21 machine, driving for the legendary Wood Brothers. And right behind him, another legendary team, Bud Moore Racing, the number 15, Brett Bodine, another person who had a fantastic season last year. At least I think. A fantastic season for the first year in decent equipment. I imagine he's going to try to get into the top 15 in points as well. Oh, here comes Richmond to the bottom. Tim Richmond. Elliott goes to the top, trying to help out fellow Ford. A fellow Ford there in the form of Brett Bodine. Meanwhile, Alan Kowicki, he's going to stick it down to the bottom. Tim Richmond, he slides up. Kowicki and everyone else goes down low. They're not going to pass Richmond in enough time. See if Kowicki can get enough of a run going here into turns 1 and 2, and it looks like he'll easily do that. Alan Kowicki should have the lead once we come up onto the Daytona Superstretch. Indeed he does. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead here. Kyle Petty's getting a good run here on the owner driver. 3 victories in Kowicki's career thus far. 2 in 1987, one of them in 1988 last year. And whenever Kowicki wins, he wins big. He won the Coca-Cola 600 in 1987 rather. And he won the Winston 500 at Talladega last year, 1988. So Kowicki, he's been getting wins. Admittingly, I mean, they're not like it's not like he dominated these races. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time at all 3 races, and lo and behold, he got a win. His first career win came at Martinsville in 1987. I did the same mistake again. Kowicki's first win came at Martinsville in 1987. It looked like that Tim Richmond was going to run away and dominate with the event. He did. He was dominating everything. 10 laps to go. Something happened where the power just went on Tim Richmond's car, whether if he went down a cylinder, No one really knows. Tim Richmond couldn't even get to 80 miles an hour on the straightaways. And Kawicki, who was 8.5 seconds down in second place, he had a lot of ground to make up. He ended up passing him with a lap and a half to go, and Kawicki ended up winning that race. He won the Coke 600 with great pit strategy, ended up just, again, being in the right place at the right time, and he also ended up winning the Talladega, the Winston 500, again, just being the right place at the right time. He just made a perfect move, ended up leading the last 2 laps of the race. Rest is history, as they say. Here comes the 28 of Davey Allison down low. Davey Allison. Him, Bonnet, and Strickland. They're pretty much what's left of the Alabama gang. Ricky Rudd, someone who was on fire to close out 1988. He didn't get a win, but man, he was in the top 3 in every single race, it seemed, in those final 10 races. He just couldn't get the job done, however. Here comes Dale Jarrett to the bottom. And you want to talk about breakout seasons. Now, it was Jarrett's second year in the Cup. He was driving the number 1 machine, a machine that, not a lot of people are able to drive. That's not exactly top-notch equipment. Dale Jarrett drove that to a 21st place points finish, which is awesome. Jarrett did a great job in that number 1 machine and was definitely rewarded by getting a ride for Cale Yarborough. You can see here he's going to go to the lead. Meanwhile, Neil Bonnet, something happened to the 21 machine where he was just coming out of pit road. Almost merged up in front of traffic there. Just getting worried. We come to the line, 5 laps to go. We've got Dale Jarrett on the bottom, Ricky Rudd on the top. And Ricky Rudd got a really good run there through the tri-oval. See if he could clear Jarrett going into 1. Not quite. Ricky Rudd actually still holds a record for the Throwbacks, and I've been unable to validate whether this is an actual record of all time or not, because this stat just isn't kept anywhere. I can't find it. But Ricky Rudd in 1985, he led at least 1 lap in 21 straight races. Who does that? And that was basically his last career accomplishment, which is sad. Really sad. Dick Trickle, he went to the lead and he's being disposed of the lead. Harry Gant going back to the lead. Looks like we're going to have a couple of Oldsmobiles hooking up here at the front. Larry Pearson trying to catch up to a manufacturer teammate of sorts. Meanwhile, we have Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, and Alan Kawicki here coming out, running out the top 5. Here comes Elliott. He's going to go for the lead. He's being pushed by Alan Kawicki. Davey Allison is also down there now. Ford's on the bottom. Olds is on the top. Elliott gets shoved out of the way. And here comes Kawicki. He's going to take the lead. And Davey Allison is going to go into second. Looks like Hutch Strickland had more than enough momentum to go into third there as well. But now Ricky Rudd and fellow Buick Dick Trickle, looks like they're getting a good run down there. Indeed, they happen to be. Trickle looking down low with Rudd. not quite able to get the job done, and now here comes Rick Mast. Now, if you told me that Rick Mast is going to be the best finishing Chevrolet here in this race, I would have told you no. I don't see Tim Richmond anywhere here, folks, so that's probably going to be the case. In fact, it looks like Rick Mast, he might be going for the lead here shortly. Alan Kulwicki continues to lead this pack with a very strong Ford Thunderbird. Can he continue to do so? Rick Mast, he's getting a really good run on Alan. Here comes Kyle Petty to the bottom. He hasn't won any event since 1986. Larry Pearson going off to pit road. White flag. It's down to just these guys now. Does anyone have an answer for Alan Kulwicki? Any of these 5 guys? Oh, where did Kyle Petty come from? Down to the inside. They're side by side down the Daytona Super Stretch. JD McDuffie is the slow car, the number 70, the blue Pontiac. Alan Kulwicki's still got the run. He's going to get a push here from Davey Allison. Alan Kulwicki, nothing but daylight in front of him. He comes up off of turn 4. He's going to come down to the line, and he's going to take the checkered flag. He wins the second Dual 125. Gorgeous. And that has been the presentation of the Dual 125s. Once we get the entire standings up here. There we go. And we'll see you for the Daytona 500 tomorrow. I'm going to have to... Okay. Just like last time, I'm going to have to back all the way out.